Johnny the movie is based on Johnny Mnemonic, my 1981 short story, which was pretty much...
Before Robert Longo attempted cinema's most ambitious cyberpunk adaptation, Johnny Mnemonic was dismissed as too weird and incomprehensible by studio executives who couldn't grasp William Gibson's vision of digital consciousness and corporate dystopia.
She was teaching a science fiction course that I was taking as sort of like a gut course. I thought, well, I've read all these books anyway.
The cast has finally revealed secrets that will transform your understanding of the troubled production that predicted internet culture while completely failing to capture it on screen. The William Gibson adaptation that lost its soul. What most fans don't realize is that Johnny Mnemonic was William Gibson's own screenplay adaptation of his short story. Yet studio interference transformed his cyberpunk vision into a confused action film that satisfied no one.
I want the club sandwich. I want the cold Mexican beer. I want a $10,000 a night hooker.
Gibson's script was far darker and more cerebral than what audiences saw, but TriStar Pictures demanded constant rewrites to make the film more accessible to mainstream viewers who had never heard of cyberspace or data couriers. Keanu Reeves revealed years later that the original script was far superior to the final product. William had written something genuinely visionary about digital consciousness and information overload that was way ahead of its time. The studio kept demanding more action and less philosophy until the core ideas were buried under explosions and fight scenes. The actors' frustration reflected widespread disappointment with how Gibson's concepts were diluted. Robert Longo disclosed that he was hired as director precisely because he wasn't a traditional filmmaker. They wanted a visual artist who could create striking imagery, but they didn't trust me with the narrative. The studio second-guessed every creative decision and forced changes that made the story incoherent. The first-time director had no power to resist studio demands. William Gibson noted how the production became nightmare of compromise. I watched my screenplay get rewritten by committee until the philosophical foundation was gone. They wanted cyberpunk aesthetics without cyberpunk ideas, which is like wanting the Matrix without asking what the Matrix means. The author's vision was systematically dismantled to create more conventional entertainment. The internet that looked like a video game. The film's visualization of cyberspace wasn't just dated special effects. It was fundamental misunderstanding of what digital space would actually become. What the production designers revealed about creating the film's virtual reality shows how 1995 technology and imagination failed to predict the actual internet's development in ways that made the entire film look absurd within years. The decision to depict cyberspace as a three-dimensional city where data couriers physically travel was based on early VR concepts that never materialized. We imagined the internet as a place you'd navigate like a real environment, disclosed production designer Nilo Rodis-Jamero. The idea of cyberspace as physical architecture came from Gibson's novels, but we didn't predict that the actual internet would be about screens, browsers, and interfaces, rather than immersive virtual worlds. The psychedelic colors and primitive CGI made cyberspace look like a bad video game rather than believable digital environment. The technology to create what we imagined simply didn't exist in 1995, revealed the visual effects team. We were trying to show something beyond current capabilities, but the results looked cheap and fake rather than futuristic. Every frame of cyberspace reminded audiences they were watching special effects rather than experiencing a believable world. Keanu Reeves, between career peaks. Johnny wasn't just another action role. It was Keanu Reeves trying to establish himself as a science fiction star between Speed and The Matrix. What Reeves revealed about taking the role shows how he was drawn to Gibson's concepts despite recognizing the script's problems, and how the film's failure nearly derailed his cyberpunk credibility. Reeves disclosed his attraction to the character's existential crisis. Johnny has had his childhood memories deleted to make room for data storage. He's literally lost his identity to become a human hard drive. That concept of sacrificing your humanity for technology fascinated me, but the film never properly explored those implications. The philosophical depth was sacrificed for action sequences. Ice-T noted how Reeves maintained professionalism despite visible production problems. Keanu knew the film was struggling, but he never complained or phoned it in. He committed fully to every scene, even when the dialogue was terrible and the effects looked cheap. His dedication couldn't save the film, but it wasn't from lack of trying or caring about the material. The cyberpunk aesthetic that became generic. The film's visual design wasn't just dated technology. It was failure to translate Gibson's literary cyberpunk into coherent cinematic language. What the production designers revealed about creating the film's look shows how they confused superficial neon and leather aesthetics with the deeper cultural critique that made cyberpunk literature revolutionary. The decision to set the film in a corporate-dominated 2021 required imagining how technology and society would evolve over 26 years. We predicted some things correctly, like ubiquitous screens and corporate power, but we completely missed how the internet would actually develop, disclosed the design team. We imagined a world of physical cyberspace and implanted technology when the real future was about smartphones and social media that we couldn't conceive in 1995. Robert Longo revealed that studio executives wanted Blade Runner's visual style without understanding what made that film's aesthetic work. They demanded dark streets, neon signs, and rain-soaked cityscapes because those signaled cyberpunk to them. But cyberpunk was never just about how things looked. It was about corporate power, information control, and technology's impact on identity. We got the surface without the substance. William Gibson noted his frustration with the visual literalism. My stories work because they suggest more than they show, creating atmosphere through implication. The film tried to make everything explicit and physical, which destroyed the ambiguity and mystery that made the concepts interesting. Cyberpunk became just another action movie aesthetic, rather than a critique of technological capitalism. Dolph Lundgren's unhinged street preacher. The street preacher wasn't just memorable villain, he was Dolph Lundgren's completely unrestrained performance that embodied everything wrong with the film's tone. What Lundgren revealed about developing this character shows how the film couldn't decide whether it was serious cyberpunk thriller or campy action spectacle. Lundgren disclosed his interpretation of the cybernetic assassin preacher. I played him as religious fanatic who'd augmented himself with technology while preaching against technological sin. The character was supposed to represent hypocrisy and extremism, but the execution was so over the top that he became unintentionally comic rather than threatening. The performance veered into self-parody that undermined any serious themes. The character's crucifixion imagery and religious rants represented the film's confused relationship with its own themes about technology and humanity. The street preacher was meant to ask questions about how technology affects the soul, but he just screamed about Jesus while killing people with laser whips, revealed the screenwriter. The character became joke rather than meaningful exploration of techno-religious anxiety. Ice-T noted that Lundgren's scenes were the most entertaining parts of a troubled production. Dolph was having fun being completely insane, and those scenes had more energy than the rest of the film. But his performance highlighted how uneven the tone was. We couldn't tell if we were making serious science fiction or campy B-movie, so we ended up with neither. The lost footage that might have made sense. The theatrical cut wasn't Robert Longo's intended vision. Significant character development and world building were removed by the studio to reduce runtime. What the cast revealed about the deleted material shows how editorial interference destroyed narrative coherence and made the film's already confusing plot completely incomprehensible to audiences. The removed scenes included extensive exposition about the technology, the corporate wars, and Johnny's background that would have clarified the stakes. We filmed detailed explanations of how the data storage worked, why Johnny's information was so valuable, and what NAS was, disclosed the production team. The studio cut all of that because they thought audiences would be bored by exposition. But without it, nobody understood what was happening or why it mattered. William Gibson revealed that his original screenplay included much more character depth for Johnny and Jane. The theatrical version reduced them to action hero stereotypes, but my script explored how living in this corporate dystopia had damaged them psychologically. Those character moments were considered expendable, which left the film with nobody to care about. The emotional foundation was sacrificed for pacing. The box office disaster that killed cyberpunk cinema. The film's critical and commercial failure wasn't just disappointing, it poisoned Hollywood's interest in cyberpunk adaptations for years. What the cast revealed about the immediate aftermath shows how one failed film can destroy an entire genre's viability, and how the disaster affected everyone involved personally and professionally. The savage reviews focused on the film's incomprehensible plot, dated effects, and stilted dialogue. Critics compared it to everything from bad video games to incomprehensible music videos, disclosed the marketing team. The film became instant punchline, and box office collapsed in the second weekend when word of mouth confirmed it was terrible. We'd spent millions creating a film that audiences actively disliked rather than just ignoring. Robert Longo's directing career never recovered from the failure. I went back to the art world and didn't direct another feature for decades, Longo revealed. The experience was so traumatic, and the critical response so vicious that I lost interest in fighting with studios over creative vision. Johnny Mnemonic taught me that Hollywood doesn't want visionary science fiction. They want familiar formulas with science fiction window dressing. Keanu Reeves disclosed that the failure made him more cautious about science fiction roles until The Matrix came along. I loved the genre, but Johnny Mnemonic showed me that good intentions and interesting concepts weren't enough. The Matrix succeeded because the Wachowskis had complete creative control and a clear vision, which Johnny Mnemonic never had. The redemption that never quite arrived. Unlike other 1990s failures that found cult audiences through home video, Johnny Mnemonic remains mostly forgotten except as historical curiosity. What the cast revealed about the film's lack of cult status shows how some failures are too compromised to achieve even ironic appreciation, and how being wrong about the future made redemption impossible. The film's predictions about 2021 became increasingly absurd as the real year approached. We predicted global pandemic caused by information overload, which was prescient in some ways, but we got almost everything else wrong about how technology would develop, disclosed William Gibson. Watching the film now is like seeing an alternate timeline that never happened, which makes it more dated than films set in entirely fictional futures. The Matrix's success in 1999 made Johnny Mnemonic look even worse by comparison. The Wachowskis proved that cyberpunk concepts could work in cinema if executed with vision and coherence, noted Keanu Reeves. Johnny Mnemonic's failure wasn't inevitable. It was the result of specific creative and executive decisions that The Matrix avoided by maintaining artistic control. The comparison highlighted everything Johnny Mnemonic did wrong. The cast revealed that there's no appetite for director's cut or restoration because the fundamental problems go beyond editing. The effects are irredeemably dated, the performances can't be fixed, and the core story was compromised at the script level, disclosed the production team. Unlike films where a director's cut reveals hidden brilliance, Johnny Mnemonic's problems are baked into every frame. There's no secret great film hiding in the footage. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into science fiction's most troubled productions that promised revolution but delivered confusion. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our latest uploads, and let us know in the comments whether Johnny Mnemonic could have succeeded with different creative choices or whether it was doomed from the start. I want to get online. I need a computer.